I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we are doing a general energy reading. Whatever pops up, anything important, checking your mood, checking your vibe, how can we help, how can we uplift it that much more, we're going to be seeing the cards today. Now before I get into group selecting, I forgot to do this in my last Spiritual Talks video, so I'm putting this poll in the comments below. But for my next Spiritual Talks video, I want to know if you guys want one of the three options I'm going to give you right now. Keep in mind, like all my Spiritual Talks videos, at some point one of these three options there will be a video on it, but we're going to see whatever you guys want to see most first. So option number one. Somebody had a fantastic suggestion about how music affects our frequency. What are the logistics about it? Like, you know how sometimes you listen to certain genres of music at one time in your life when you're like struggling more? Is it unhelpful to do it later? It's a wider topic about music, your mood, frequencies, all that stuff. Option number two. Kundalini experiences, my Kundalini experiences, how it happened, what it felt like, what it looked like. I can go to the Akashic Halls and get much more detail on this so I can expand upon that knowledge. I will be going to the Akashic Halls for this one too, Akashic Records, sorry. I always call it Akashic Halls for this one, for the first one too. But you guys seemed really interested in that and I'd be happy to share that. And option number three. Spirit of plants. There is a individual spirit for every single plant, and I can go into the schematics of what that means, where are they, how can you talk to them, all that good jazz. I actually recently was lucky enough to get to talk to the spirit of the coffee bean plant. And I'm a big fan. So those options are going to be in the comments below. You'll just see it. You thumb up the one you like the most popular one will get chosen, but these options will show up again until eventually I cover them. So now that that's out of the way, let's go back to our energy reading. We have 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down to the description where you can skip to your designated timestamp and group, but let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's look at your general energy reading by looking at the cards. We've got 4 of Cups upright, King of Wands in reverse. My spirit guide has a lot to say on that. 10 of Cups upright, 5 of Swords in reverse, and 3 of Cups in reverse. Okay. I'm just getting the rest of the information. Just give me another moment. Okay, this is fantastic. Okay, I love this. This goes and ends in such a happy way. You know, happy ever after. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but there is a confirmation that everything's going to work out. So I love this. This makes me really happy. But it also goes into detail as to where to sort of focus your attention, how to handle focusing that attention and approaching it in certain ways, and so on and so forth. And then it goes over a blockage to be aware of, so there's no hiccups along the way. So when you sense this potential blockage that could pop up, we already know the confirmation that everything's going to work out, but everything's going to work out because you're aware of the blockage, and then you can kind of handle the blockage. And also, I want to point out that blockages are absolutely fantastic, because while we would love to not have them, while that would be nice, if we are unaware of what gets us riled up or pulls us back into a certain state of mind that doesn't make us happy and isn't helpful in our life, if we just repress it, push it away, never deal with it, that thing will just keep coming back worse and worse and worse. And it's also super not fun to be having a good time in your day and then suddenly something pops up, you didn't realize how much it would bother you, and then before you know it, your good time is kind of switched on a dime. Compared to something where, in this case, I'm really happy to say, this blockage is something you can handle in your own time, at your own leisure, and it can be much more comfortable and chill and relaxed. Nobody said blockages have to only be difficult to overcome. This one's going to be much easier for you to handle, and it's going to be something that you're going to be like, wow, this is going to benefit me in the long run, like all blockages that we overcome. So let's first start over here with this is like the first starting point of the general energy. It just shows boredom, just total lack of enthusiasm and pleasure to, or passion to get to do anything. It's like, I don't know, I don't really want to watch that. I don't know, I guess I'll do that. It's okay. And you're not really that in a bad mood, but it's starting to kind of add up how long you've been, apathetic and bored. It's tiring. You're done with it. So we're moving off from that experience, getting you more inspired and, interested in the world, excited to wake up, excited to live the next day. So most of that is due to the 3 of Cups in reverse and the 5 of Swords in reverse. I'm getting 2 different scenarios here because this is a general reading that's popping up in the largest amount. So in the 3 of Cups in reverse, there needs to be a connection with others and a friend group. But in one scenario, we have people who had a friend group that was awesome. There was some sort of conflict or separation. Kind of get the vibe that it was a little while ago, like maybe a couple months ago. It happened a little while ago. But either way, this was a friendship group. You had a good time. There was some sort of fight I can see in the 5 of Swords in reverse, and also the confirmation of this being in reverse as well. And it didn't end well. You're not with them right now. And honestly, it's time to reconnect. I did double check to make sure that we're not sending you towards a group of friends that are unhelpful. Not every group of friends that you break up with is the one you really want to return to. And then you have very good reasons. The way my spirit guide put this is they said, if this friend group was a group of friends that you regularly had a good time, and this last sort of having issues with each other, that last sort of fight or disagreement, or maybe you just naturally felt tired of each other, but it was just kind of at the end, and it was a small amount compared to the entirety of the friendship, like the vast majority of the friendship was good. Now it's time to reconnect and have a good time. So that's really beautiful and nice. But for others that are like, ooh, no, we ended on bad terms for a good reason, then we're talking about a new friend group. You're going to go make a new friend group. And for others, this is more the idea that no one has really been like your cup of tea to start a friend group. Maybe that's not even really been on your mind. I can see in the 5 of Swords in reverse, and this confirmation gets placed by my spirit guide. This is what my spirit guide said. They said, you're holding your standards for people too high. It doesn't mean you need to tomorrow. I mean, it would be nice. We can put that intention out there. That can always happen. Anything can, positive happen. But it's time to not just meet someone, and if you don't absolutely hit it off, they're not your absolute best friend. Don't put them in a closet and say, well, I'm tired, I'm done with that. You really need a sort of, they described it as a beginner best friend. So maybe best friend's too strong of a word. It's this idea that you find somebody and you're like, they're fine, they're okay. We can like hang out. We can do some fun activities. They're not like someone I want to tell all my secrets to, but it's something. And this is sort of kicking you off type of situation. This is going to get you started to, it's like you're sort of setting to the universe, telling the universe, hey, I'm ready for friends. This is my beginner friend. If you want to send people that I have more of a deeper natural connection with, I'm ready. I'm available. Kind of very similar to when people date and they still go on dates, even if, it's like, oh no, okay, what can I do? That I went out with that person and there just wasn't a connection. But they're letting the universe know and the peers around them, hey, I'm ready to be with someone. It's similar to that idea. So with some of you, it's about saying, okay, you need to go make some friends. As you go to make some friends, however you do it, that you could do Twitter, whatever, I don't know, maybe a neighbor or something like that, fun, safe, I want to point out. just try not to hold that standard too high. If you kind of reasonably like them, they don't bother you that much, but there's just, as long as there's some sort of connection, go reach out every way to be friends with them. And for others who are in a healthy friend group, now is the time to this is how my spirit guide put it, time to put your differences aside. It's time to just be like, you know what? Who cares who did what? Let's just let it go. We gotta let it go. Let's just hang out again and both have a good time. There's a very good chance they are bored too. So over here in the 10 of Cups upright, I'm really happy to say this is our confirmation card, and my spirit guide also confirmed this, that you're no longer gonna be bored, you're gonna have some people to hang out with, you're gonna be feeling inspired again. This is going to set off sort of a positive domino effect of like, you go out with your friends, all of a sudden you guys like figure out you all like to play this sort of like hobby or game, you go home, you start studying it on your own. It's this beautiful thing where you go from nothing quite, hitting that right, I don't know what the term is, there's a phrase you use when you say like it's when it's like, yeah, that's my thing, that's the right thing, that I know it's something, what is it? It's like hitting the bell, hitting the target. It went totally out of my head. Apologies. But also it appears there is going to ultimately be an extremely strong connection from this friendship group. Is this, let me just ask my spirit guide real quickly. Is this romantic possibly? Oh, cool. That's a surprise. They said in many cases, yes. Even the ones where it isn't a strong friendship connection? Oh my goodness, I'm like getting chills. They said that in the cases where you're not like absolutely close with them, you're just kind of cool with them and they're your beginner best friend as we described, those are the strongest and most popular cases where that person in itself will become a strong romantic partner. That's so cool. Well, there you go. I had not anticipated that. That's really beautiful. I love that. That gets me so excited for you. But let's talk about your blockage real quick with the King of Wands in reverse. So the way my spirit guide put it is there is the potential to have difficulty accepting if when you're developing these friendships again or having them in general or whatever, if the flow of the connection is not consistent, you can get in your own head and it can result to emotions like jealousy, distrust, not believing in yourself, the gamut. And what I mean specifically by this statement, where this statement my spirit guide said was, it's like feeling like you're having a really good time with a friend and then you want to hang out, they don't answer their phone, and then you see on social media they hung out with someone else, and then it's understandably pretty it bums you out. You're just like, what did I do wrong? Do they not like me? Or even if they were like, oh no, I'm busy today, and they were honest with you, you can't help but be like, oh man, like, I don't know, I thought if we were such good friends, they'd want to hang out with me too. And this is when sensitivities come up and all of that jazz. Totally understandable that is the sort of response, but we want to overcome that so that you just ultimately live your best life and don't lose the beautiful connection flow that you've built with someone, because that connection you've built with that other person is still real. Nothing changed. Everything's good. They just happen to be hanging out with someone else. And that isn't fun for both you and the other person if that connection suddenly is dropped just because you saw something and it caused you to have all of these emotional reactions. We want to kind of come from a different state of mind. And that's actually what my spirit guide wants me to talk to you about. So there's two different scenarios going on here in order to kind of like overcome this. They are the same ideas, but one might not translate or connect with you, so I'm just going to share both options. In one state, I can do an entire video about this. I would be happy to. This is like something I'm very passionate about, but it's about our mind, our physical mind, and our spirit mind. And when we are thinking from these different states of mind, we have different emotional reactions. So when we're thinking in our very physical mind, this is when we have thoughts of like fear. This is when we worry about having enough. This is sort of like our basic needs and our survival tactics kicking in. My mind is definitely for anybody who is in, but keep in mind, we have all three. But my mind is when people are like really like in touch with this part of themselves, and this is where they often think from. This is when you like overthink everything, and you put a little too much emphasis, and you think of 10 different routes, and it's almost like logic being used against you, your own logic. Very Queen of Swords in reverse kind of vibe. And anyway, not the cruel kind, but the overthinking, kind of using it as your own, using it against you, so to speak. And then there's the spirit mind. Now, the reason why I'm going to give you the other example is unless you're really able to understand, and this is already, I don't want to go on for too long. I'll make a whole video about this. Again, just show me if you're interested in the comments. I'd be happy to do it. But by being able to understand what state of mind is which and how to exactly get into that state of mind, you get into it and then you think from that state of mind, and then it helps you assess the situation differently. So we're going to be doing basically a version of that in option 2, but it's going to be something that's like, you know, if you don't meditate a lot, if this isn't something, if these words seem to be like kind of not resonating with you, here's the other option. So my spirit guide said, when you feel that sense of like, you see that, you know, that post on social media, you see something and you're like, oh man, I thought we were going to hang out. This is so disappointing. Or you start, the jealousy kicks in, whatever that your emotional reaction is. You're going to stop yourself, and you're going to get into a state of mind where you really deeply meditate for like a good 2 or 3 minutes. Set a timer and get in that mindset of a happy memory. And this is specifically a happy memory of yours. It doesn't have to. In fact, I would highly recommend not including the other person. This is you just thinking about, hey, the other day, and really try to like sink in and let it be like an actual happy memory. So it can be anything from your childhood to last week, whatever, but you're just like thinking about this little moment and you're really in it and you're just like totally putting all your attention and focus there. Once you are there and you kind of like feel that emotional and vibrational effect of you're like, ooh, I'm here, I'm like in that state of mind, then think of the friend, then come from that place of mind, and you're going to be being so fulfilled and the best version of yourself, be able to look at that situation and reevaluate it and not have such a strong like being like, oh, well, maybe I'm not that jealous, actually. You know what? It's fine. And when you keep kind of practicing this like a habit, it then becomes the thing you naturally go towards. It's not that when you master this, you'll always have like a memory you think of and then thinking of the other person. It's more that you'll naturally come from the state of mind of being like, oh, I see the bigger picture. All is good. I believe in myself. I trust in myself. I trust in the universe. I trust in my friend. Everything's good. You see what I'm saying here? So awesome exercise. So anyways, time to put differences aside and rekindle with old friends. Time to reach out to some unlikely ones. Get excited because it's all going to work out positively in your direction. There's going to be a lot more inspiration and fun. But do keep in mind when there's just like as the friendship is developing and you're enjoying each other's company again, when this issue pops up, be aware of that. Exercise that in order to overcome it, so you not overcome a general blockage, but it will make the whole experience of the friendship and inspiration keep flowing, feel nice, you feel happy. We love that. So please let me know in the comments below, do you have a particular friend already in mind when it comes to this topic as a whole? I would love to know in the comments below. Also, consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's look at the general reading for you by looking at the cards. We have 3 of Wands upright. I am already questioning if this is romantic. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Well, that's our confirmation, but let me talk to my spirit guides. 2 of Cups upright, Page of Pentacles in reverse, and 3 of Swords upright. Okay. Sorry, I just went silent right into looking at information. Just give me a moment. I just need to pick everything up. By the way, it is romantic. I was right. Okay, so let's get started with Two of Cups. Now, this is romantic related, like I said. This can range from anything from people who are currently in a relationship to a crush starting to develop. Does the crush have to know that they have a crush on them? No, but it will start to develop. Okay, good. So either way, this is like you're in the midst, you just started talking to each other, there's something there, there's a connection, you've known each other for a couple years, or you're like, oh, I think they're so cute, I'd like to get to know them more, you're kind of hoping to reach out to them. Either way, we're talking about that scenario. So it's pretty wide gamut here, which I love. But I always want to be specific. So right now, this is such a fantastic energy reading, but I want you to hear the whole thing because while it is very positive, we want to be aware of some things from the past, some things to keep in mind in the present, and to be aware of, I'll be honest with you, especially with two confirming cards, very strong potential roadblocks. Not roadblocks as in, that's too strong of a word. I don't want to make you freaked out. Blockages, things to keep in mind to overcome, to not let you get in your own way so you can continue to enjoy this, because this is nothing but a positive energy reading, positive direction it's going, where you want to put your attention. This is all good stuff. But if these other things pop up, it would not be as fun. So let's first start with the Two of Cups. This is not only being confirmed here, but my spirit guide said, right now is the time to give this connection attention. It's a good connection. It is a good place for you to put your energy right now, and it feels like a dominant place you want to put your energy. I'm not saying throw all your other hobbies and your career out the window. I'm just saying if you're just right now feeling it and you kind of want to spend the vast majority of your free time with this other person, go for it. You've gotten the 2 thumbs up, green lights ahead of you type of direction, and it's a really good place right now in your life to give that sort of foster that. Now, the reason why that is over here in the Three of Swords. I am being shown there is a deep emotional pain that sort of defines you. It's that bad. It's something that you think about often enough, or like if someone starts to talk about like their past, you would bring this up, or you would contemplate this. Let me just ask real quickly, does this have to be a romantic type of pain? No. Okay. So this could be anything from like, maybe you had like a difficult like family scenario or something like that, whatever it may be. This can range from, remember, this is for my fellow tarot readers. Three of Swords does not always mean a cheater. It just means that the emotional, whatever they went through was bad enough. It lasted and it affected them that deeply. It's still affecting them now. Now, the time you're spending with this other person is helping that. It's fostering that. It's helping you overcome that. And in many cases and scenarios, this will be the thing that helps that. Not in every case. In some cases, you're still going to have some work ahead of you, which is fine, but I imagine it's going to do quite a lot, which we love that. And this will help you kind of heal. And finally, you won't have your attention keep being brought back over here from time and again, and every now and then it's sort of becoming like a repeating mantra in your head. Instead, which keep that concept in mind, the repeating mantra, that's really important when we talk about these two cards. Instead, you'll be like, oh, what are they doing? Isn't that nice? They said this about me. Oh, I just feel warm and fuzzy. And it's sort of like restarting you. You know how often when we're trying to get into a new cycle, it's like a catch-22. It's like all you have to do is start tomorrow saying more positive things about yourself, and change your whole energy. You're in control of your energy much more than you realize. But if you're in a certain place, I don't even get the vibe, and I want to be clear about this. Not everyone that's watching this reading is like carrying this heavy heart with them all the time. It's just that the fact that you still can go back to it, you can still think of a really terrible like friendship that broke up, it still pops up in your mind. It's still a defining quality about you. But it's not something that's on your mind like 24/7, I want to be clear. But in order to totally restart that new version of you, it definitely helps when we have something so inspiring in our face, totally mixing up our schedule and what we're doing, which is beautiful. Now in the Three of Wands, it is being suggested, and my spirit guide confirmed this, that you want to go out of your way to reach out to them. Do not overthink the process of like, and I know it can be so easy, when it's like, well, I reached out to them. Would it be too much if I asked them on another date? Would it be too much? We just finished the date if I texted them how much I liked the date and started talking to them. Go for it. When you feel, it's not saying that do it every second. It's just saying when you feel that inspiration, whenever you feel it, don't feel self-conscious. Now is that time to get that sort of free-flowing, unself-conscious energy moving forward, rolling forward. Think of the Three of Swords over here as sort of stopping, sitting, stagnation, lamenting on it, upset about it, thinking about it. And this is sort of the unself-conscious flow. You're putting it out there, you're being unfiltered and unafraid to be like, I like you. I'm into this. This is cool. If you're with someone for a couple years, now is the time to text them on their lunch break and be like, hey, do you want to meet up? Hey, you want to chat? Things like that. It's that nice, beautiful flowing, that feeling going on. Now, let's talk about these two blockages because they are essentially the same thing, but there's a sort of, I don't know if you'd call it the other end of the coin, whatever, but it's over here in both the Queen of Pentacles in reverse and the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Both of them, wow, the energy as I went to go talk about the subject, I could like feel how intense the energy was. It was a very like low, self-conscious sort of energy. Both of these cards talk about how it is potentially, there's the potential that you will start to think that you are not good enough. Initially it's nice, it's wonderful, it's great, you're having this connection, you're enjoying the flow, but after you start to get to know them and you realize this is really real and this is somewhere where you're kind of totally, being seen and you can't hide anymore, you start to wonder like, this person's so great, am I good enough? That's definitely coming from the motivation of the Three of Swords. We're trying to overcome that with the Three of Wands and the general positive, attention being given over here. You are giving the thumbs up from my spirit guides that like, this is a cool person, keep getting to know them. But in both of these scenarios, this could pop up. But I want you to keep two things in mind. When we have a Queen of Pentacles in reverse, while it's in reverse implying you don't feel that great about yourself, you think you don't have enough to offer the other person, the reality is you're a queen. The queen has gone above and beyond and has fully mastered what she has to offer. This could be anything from a skill. In this case, we're more talking about like you as a human being. Like often when we talk about what we have to offer each other when we go into a relationship, friendship, romantic, whatever, it's kind of like hard to define yourself. This is normal even for the most confident people, but you might be unaware that some characteristics about you are very valuable. Maybe you're loyal, maybe you're trustworthy, maybe you easily are able to listen and be there for others, whatever that may be. You've got that on lockdown. You are solid. Right now, you're ready to go and offer that to someone. It is enough, period. The Queen is the mastery of this. And I want to talk about you getting the Queen instead of the King and the Page. This is a student. The Page is somebody who is open enough to say, yeah, maybe I know a lot of stuff. Maybe I'm pretty awesome as a person, even if you're not acknowledging this. It's more we're talking about this is the reality of who you are. You might not necessarily connect to this yet. Even though you're amazing, you are not cut off. You don't think that this is it. This is only one way. You're open and minded enough to be like, you know what? I can offer. Sorry, I was getting distracted by someone walking around. The Page, there's a thought process of thinking like, you know what? I can always learn more. I'm open enough to accept that maybe I don't know everything. So we have someone who's already mastered some stuff, and then also somebody who is willing to learn even more. So you kind of like cover all the ends of like, there's not a finished, like there's always room to grow with you. You're very open-minded. You already are good enough. Sorry, I'm hearing somebody walk around. It's distracting me to so much. So sorry for the running on for a second. Anyway, going on. So there is, you're already good to go, but you need to be aware of this and let it be your, like, don't let it, this is how my spirit guide put it, don't let your inner mantra be like, well, I don't know, or what if. You have to keep coming back and rephrasing that words to yourself and be like, you know what? Every day I'm learning to realize how cool I am. And if there's something I don't know, I'll learn it. I'm open to growing even more. I'm open to offering and understanding even more. But what I have right now is already pretty darn cool. And keep in mind, when people have like mantras and affirmations and stuff like that, when they say it, like, it's okay in the beginning if that's not like something you're connected to. You have to kind of like fake it till you make it. But keep that in mind. Don't let that hinder all of this beautiful healing and flow and being on a whole new cycle and reconnected. Keep all of that stuff in mind. So I'm very excited for you. Please let me know in the comments below, have you already reached out to your crush? Are you going to text them right now? Because you're like, you know what? I want to text them right now. Please let me know in the comments below. I love that sort of exciting feeling and vibration and state of mind. So beautiful. Share it. It will totally uplift other people in the comments below as well. Also, consider giving the video a like and a subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's look at this general energy reading by looking at the cards. We've got 2 of Swords upright, Queen of Swords in reverse, the Star upright, 10 of Swords upright, and Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Whoa. You have been on a wild ride. Give me a moment. I'm also seeing some future stuff popping up too. Okay. My like third eye is buzzing like crazy. Okay, which is just so appropriate for this reading. So let's get started with the Star card. I am just unbelievably happy to report that energy-wise, you are divinely and perfectly on your path in life. Now remember, our path in life doesn't necessarily have to mean purely towards a certain career goal. It's more of I think this is more of the idea of like, yes, that can be on the path, or yes, the dream person you'd like to be with, that they can be on that path, but it's that you are absolutely and perfectly doing everything exactly when you need to, when it's the right time. It's like trying to get in contact with someone and you keep forgetting to do it, and then you do it like a month later, and when you do it a month later, they're in a new position to help then you get into a new position, and it's like, oh, it worked out the way it was meant to. You are totally in it. Like, I cannot express the intensity of how much energy I feel from you. Like, the Star card in general means destiny and being on the right path, but for this reading, it's much more intense than that. And that intensity continues with the other cards in the spread. So when we are on this right path, this is really comforting, because sometimes, and I especially see it over here in the 10 of Swords upright and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, sometimes we experience things that make us feel like we're not on the right path. That, you think that when you're totally in the flow, it only means, and I talked about this in my recent Spiritual Talks video, being in the flow. It actually goes into specifics of how you can get into the flow, all that jazz. But sometimes we think that being in the flow only means bliss. But if you're really in the flow, sometimes you're meant to experience certain troubling things at the perfect time to perfectly ignite something else, because that is what you signed up for. That is how it was meant to come down or happen. So to understand what that specifically means, In the Ten of Swords upright, I can see that there was has this happened yet? Okay, for some it has. For a lot of you, it's like just about to happen. If you notice, her third eye's open. Now, my spirit guide uses the term third eye in this circumstance very generally. So this is anything from like psychic abilities to being just more heightenedly aware in such a way that you view the world in a totally different way because you're able to kind of see all the nuances and intuition and so on and so forth. But it's very big. It's more than just lightly sensing someone doesn't feel right or you're meant to talk to someone. It would be much grander. It's like a bigger sense of the third eye opening. But we're just going to use that general term for this. So right before that third eye's opening, there is a lot of thoughts of self-doubt, being too in your head, just a lot of repeating mentality, just over and over and over again, either like putting yourself down or overthinking things or trying to be like, should I do this? Should I do that? These thoughts are sort of a last defense before your third eye opens. And those are going to quickly go away, no longer diminish in power and constant repetition in your head due to the third eye being opened. This is something that I don't hear a lot of people speak about. I can totally make a video on it, but before we have these big changes in our life spiritually, remember spiritually is much bigger than just simply like psychic abilities and stuff like that. Spirituality is in every single thing we do. I've talked about that in other spiritual talks videos. It's the way we interact. It's how we choose to receive information. It's the whole breakdown, the philosophy of everything. But right before something big is going to happen, you're about to have this big epiphany, you're about to be this new person that stands up for themselves, anything, this huge sense of change in your life. Right before that, it is super common that it's almost like a part of your body that knows it's going to be reconfigured, it's going to go away, it's no longer useful. It's kind of its last, scratching and fighting and trying to stay relevant when it knows it's going to be removed. It's going to no longer get the type of attention it needs. And so that's why it can feel really overwhelming right before you have such a positive big change. And sort of kind of, and in a weird way, well, I don't know if I'd say it's weird, very synchronistic way, it's almost preparing you. Because this is third eye related, a lot of people, when they first start having their third eye like really opened up, again, this is a general term we're using here, it can be emotionally overwhelming because you see things you didn't see before, you acknowledge things you didn't realize before, you start to look at your peers differently. It's a huge shift and change. So it's almost like you're being protected by this part of yourself because it's like if you can handle, if you made it through all of these intense thoughts and repeating mantras and you were just pushing through all of that, even if it felt difficult and it did make you cry and feel overwhelmed, you are more than ready for this next chapter in your life. Again, the third eye being open. That idea gets built upon again over here with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. My spirit guide said this is specifically talking about your shadow self. Your shadow self needed to be dealt with and faced and realized, and that in combination of the repeating thoughts and everything is what sort of kicked off, so we can kind of understand what led to this next big phase in your life. And when I say shadow self, this is not purely the big type of emotions my spirit guide said. So it doesn't necessarily mean like your shadow self is like when let's say someone you care about is talking to someone else and your first gut instinct is jealousy. Especially if your partner hasn't done anything to show for good reason to be jealous and, so on and so forth. And you're just kind of like, there's a reaction. That's like a big reaction. Sometimes your shadow self is much smaller. It's like making an unnecessary quippy comment to put down a generalized, like being like, oh, when that happens, with that, it's like a small little quippy comment. The way my spirit guide puts it is anything that isn't you being your absolute true self. The shadow self is like a reactionary sort of point of view, even on a small scale. And it appears you sort of were like waking up, realizing that, facing that, dealing with that, and then that sort of kicked off the part of your mind and body that was like, oh no, I'm gonna not be relevant anymore. I gotta freak out and make them think too much. And then this is when it leads to the third eye being opened, which is really beautiful. Now there's something super important I want you to keep in mind over here. And that idea of the constant festering thoughts, gets repeated again over here in the Queen of Swords in reverse. It also shows me your intelligence, and it shows me your ability to be pretty much upfront with yourself. But sometimes when we're that smart and we are able to be that honest with ourselves and like face the reality of things, we can sometimes use it as a way to put ourselves down simultaneously. You can trust in yourself that you will be honest, but sometimes you might pick one reality that you're viewing. It's like I'm trying to pick something that's super non-intense. Let's say you're picking up a hobby and you're not good at it, and you just keep saying to yourself, well, you're not good at it. I'm not good at it. It's like, well, maybe you're not good at it now. You'll get better. And even then, it doesn't even matter that much. But you're using it as a way to put yourself down. Unfortunately, that feeling, that uncomfortability we're talking about can sort of prolong if you don't keep this in mind. So in the Two of Swords upright, my spirit guide said that you will be put into a position or choose to be in a situation. Okay, they said a situation that will arise where you're going to have to draw a line in the sand. This is specifically with somebody else. It's a person, like not a place. Can it be a place? No, a person. Okay, they said. So what I mean by this statement is like, sometimes the drawing a line in the sand can be anything from being like, you're not allowed to speak to me a certain way. Nope, I'm letting you know we're not working together anymore. Or it could be the type of drawing a line in the sand from boundaries to being like, listen, this is what I'd like out of this scenario, this situation. I'm letting you know if this happens again. I'm being really upfront. We're having an open-ended conversation. Again, Queen of Swords talking about like that very truthful, you're just putting everything kind of out on the table. This is you saying like, hey, if you do this again, like it's over, it's done. I'm letting you know what I'm about and we're done. Like I'm letting you know, here it is, don't cross that line. But you're going to need to like let other people know like this is what's up. Don't cross it, don't pass it. We're cool, we're friends, but you don't get to know this, that type of thing. So it's a really general and circumstantial, but you get what I'm saying by the overall concept. On one decision, you draw the line in the sand, all is good, you're enjoying your third eye being opened up, you're enjoying the fact that you faced some of your shadow self, those thoughts, go away, you feel better, you feel confident, you're moving in a new direction, you keep being on your star path, everything's good. And on the other, would they be off their star path if they chose the other one? No. Okay. I love my spirit guide. They were like, nope, there's multiple timelines. So I'm happy to say in both scenarios, you would still technically be on your path. But I would argue that the other path is more uncomfortable, which is if you don't set that boundary with that other person, if you don't say like, this is what's up, this is what I stand for, then we have those thoughts that are not making you feel good go on for longer. Would their third eye not open up as quicker? Oh, their third eye would not open up? Yeah, that's a firm shaking of their head. Okay, so keep that in mind. So just understand when the time comes, speak up for yourself, let other people know what's up, and keep doing you, because you're doing phenomenally, and I'm really happy to say that. And I hope, please let me know in the comments below, I hope it gave you some sense of relief to know, like, either way, you're on that path, and that path doesn't always have to feel smooth and perfect, but to, at some point later, look back and be like, wow, I did everything right when I needed to be. Thank goodness I did that then, not now, so on and so forth. It's kind of almost like when you have to take, when you're like in college, you take a prerequisite and you're like, oh, I hate taking this. I don't want to take this. But then later you look back and you find out it's necessary and you're like, oh, thank goodness I did. I don't have to do that anymore. Yay! I don't know if that was the correct vocabulary, but you get what I'm saying here. So yes, please let me know in the comments below. Do you already feel like you know what boundary you're going to be setting? Let us know. Let other people, what is the way you're going to approach it? It's super helpful for all of us so we can all learn from each other. Also consider giving this video a like and a subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for our final group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's look at that general energy reading by looking at the cards. We've got 10 of Wands upright, the Tower card in reverse, King of Pentacles in reverse, Queen of Cups in reverse, and 5 of Wands upright. Ooh. Okay. All right. This is a vibe. Okay, let me look at everything. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me just get 1 or 2 more answers over here. Okay, so let's get into it. So first, the Tower card in reverse. There appears to be a very radical change in your life that you're resisting. And this change is going to happen whether you want it to or not, but there's definitely some resistance and some pullback from it. Now, to give you some comfort, with the Tower card, people love to get all intense about it and say, it's the Tower card, something doom and gloom is going to happen. Not necessarily. I understand. I can see from some cards around it there is some emotional reaction to it. But I want to be clear. The Tower card just means that your daily schedule is going to be shaken up and it's going to be totally different than what it was before. That's the best way I like to view it. So remember, when we fall in love and we start dating and this person is integrated into our life, that's a good example of your daily schedule being shaken up. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And even if you at first perceive it, and I want to really hold on to that word perceive. It's really important here. That's going to give you a lot of comfort during this time. Even if we perceive it as like, I don't know, I don't want this. This isn't for me. This is a big deal. This could define the rest of my life. That's sort of the energy like I'm getting picked up here. Even if that is the case initially, once you get into that new flow, that new schedule, that new shift and change from a decision being made, that doesn't necessarily mean that's it. That's the rest of your life. In fact, you might be perceiving it wrong. Keep that in mind. But I can see that resistance. And that resistance to that change is what we're mostly going over because you need to give in to the change. But giving into it, we're going to get more specific about what that means because there's not one direction into giving into that change. I'll be very clear in a second. So one of the ways there is those sort of resistance from the change is in the 10 of Wands upright. It appears that it feels like when you go into this circumstance and this change happens, it's going to have a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of tension around it. There's a lot of weight. And you're really speculating like, is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm prepared to handle? I don't know. I'm not sure. Is this the right decision? Understandably, you're taking a second to contemplate and make a decision. Now, over here with the King of Pentacles in reverse, my spirit guide says that you are viewing this whole circumstance from the wrong lens, from the wrong values. With the King of Pentacles being in reverse, this is signifying somebody who, how do I put this? How did they put this? They said, you're looking from the situation, you're saying, what of value can I get from this? And understandably, that I need to break this down really clearly because understandably, we get value from everything, and that's a big idea. This is broader than money because in some cases this is money, some cases this is like a characteristic or a skill. Think of it this way. You're concerned with, if I make this change, will this look good on my resume? This is an example. And then I can later brag to other people that I have this on my resume. And there's an idea of like, what can I get of value and how can it benefit me in the long run? Because I'm defining myself from how people perceive me with what I have to offer. Do you get what I'm saying here? Often with the King of Pentacles in reverse, it's blanketly, this is a more general subject here, but normally when it's in reverse, this defines somebody who's very obsessed with money and defines themselves by their money and what they can offer others. And often they have low self-esteem and are only want to work a lot because they want to show other people look at what I've done. I'm only cool because I made all this money and so on and so forth. This is more of a bigger idea, but it's still the same route. You get the idea we're going here. And it's about pulling back from that mindset. That mindset is causing you to look at all the attention, responsibility. It's causing all this hesitation and resistance. And where can we go from there? And what does that mean by and is the card reading saying go with that idea? Go with that decision being made? No. We're going to get specific about that in a second. So with the Queen of Cups in reverse, my spirit guide says now is the time to reflect on what is really important to you. Because what you think is of value now is not going to really mean anything to you in the long run. So it's about pulling back, asking yourself those questions. Remember, something of value to you might be like, I'd like to be able to say, like, again, if this is career related, I'd like to say when I come home by a certain time, I can clock out, I'm done, I enjoy my free time. That might be something of value to you. Compared to what's better on your resume, you might have the better resume as you wanted, but then you look back in the long term of your life and you're like, I'm not really happy. I don't really enjoy anything I'm doing, because you didn't take that second to look back and go, on your day-to-day life, what's important to you? What matters most? Or maybe you're realizing all of these decisions are being made about your career. In reality, you care more about the connection you have with friends or a romantic partner, and you want to kind of give that more attention and kind of realize if you're only making choices of how things benefit you in that way, maybe it clocks out your time, keeps you away from those people you care about, and you would ultimately be unhappy. Now is the time for reflection. Now is the time to reevaluate. And something important I want you to note here, and we're gonna go on one subject and then come back to this, is my spirit guide said, I'm so sorry, that car is like very loud. It will pass in a second. So with the Tower card, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the decision is only you, let's say again, we're going with the career option, to pick that career or not pick that career, or to only pick that career. The change could be that you need to either decide you're going with this career, or another appropriate decision of change is saying, I don't want to go with that career, but I now understand the direction I do want to go in. You're at sort of a crossroads, if you will, and either decision you make will change everything. This involves a significant change on both ends. My spirit guide's like nodding to that. So I'm getting that confirmation to that. So, either way, you have options. So this isn't a reading saying you have to go with that one option. That's the only option. There is an option to not go with it and then pick a totally different route. But understand your standstill, your resistance, you're going to have to move forward. It's just the way it is right now. Now, with the Queen of Cups being in reverse, and I was asked my spirit guide, well, why isn't it in reverse then? They said that right now, when you are making these decisions out of what can benefit you, oh no, fear, how is this going to affect me in the long term, this is what I think is important to me, you're in this sort of state of mind. Your emotions are controlling you, not the other way around as it should be. You should be the one telling your emotions how you want to react to things. And this sort of emotional discourse in you is causing the Five of Wands. Now I asked, is there fighting going on in their life? Is there some sort of disruption? They said, my spirit guide said, if there is, because it sounds like in some cases there are, my spirit guide's nodding their head, yes, in some cases there is discourse around you. The discourse with the other people is actually not important on a personal level. What's important is it is a reflection, again we go back to reflection, of the energy that is emanating from you. There is discourse in your head, that lack of making a choice, that resistance to the change. It's causing, the Five of Wands is this sort of energy where like neither person is backing down. So it just goes back and forth, and it's just really tense, just really, butting of heads, that type of mentality. And that lack of change is causing that sort of energy back and forth. And you are trying to tell yourself you are the universe reflecting itself to itself, experiencing itself. You're the universe experiencing itself. Sorry about that. I was getting tongue-tied. What will surround you is conflict. And it's not important about solving that personal conflict and stuff like that. It's more of a signifier to you of going, oh, people are fighting around me. Oh, I'm fighting with someone else. Oh, I'm getting a sort of a temperature engagement. I'm getting a sort of inner compass. I have to solve this problem or this is sort of going to continue type of mentality. I don't know if I want to put it that ominously. Oh, my spirit guide said, you can. Okay, you understand the stakes here. So understand that you do have options, but you still have to make them. A change is coming. But don't think that that change has to necessarily be bad. It is time to reevaluate, pull back, what's really going to make you happy in the long term, because what you think is benefiting you right now is only causing you discourse, and it is showing up around you as a byproduct and an extra unneeded tension in your life. Solving the insides will help the outsides. So sit back, reevaluate, figure out what it is you want in the long term, what is of value for you, make a decision, and get excited. Change is always a wonderful thing. I know it's hard initially, but in this case, you're going to be really pumped in the long term with whatever you choose because you chose it. You see what I'm saying? So please let me know in the comments below, how is it that you're going to take some reflective time? Like, what is of value for you? Give some cool ideas to the people in the comments below, because sometimes people might not even be considering concepts like, they care about the long term of their career. Again, we're using career as an example, but maybe they're unaware to ask the question of like, hey, when you work, do you want to work in a group or alone? And then they stop and they go, oh, I want to work alone. Maybe this isn't the job I want to go for. I want to find a job that I can work alone. You get what I'm saying here? So let's all inspire each other in the comments below. I am wishing you the best. Please consider giving this video a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you next one. I said that already. Whoopsie. Goodbye.